You need to choose your battles, and your battles need to be very clear. Are you paying for debt, or are you actually enjoying life? Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jennifer Ngumalo. I do hope that you stick around by clicking that red subscribe button on the bottom. That is if you like the content that we serve in this channel. And also don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. So on today's video, we're going to be talking about discipline. Not the typical discipline where you're disciplining someone because they did wrong, but more so having self-control as a person. I'm going to be sharing these things with you mainly because I feel like me learning to be disciplined, learning to control myself and my impulses is the reason why I am where I am today when it comes to my finances. And when I say that, I mean that I have a sense of peace when it comes to my finances. I don't stress whenever it's payday. I'm no longer worried whenever it's payday because there are people that are going to be coming on my bank account, taking money, taking this, taking their installment, because I have dealt with those things. And for me to be able to get to this point required me to be disciplined, to be firm on my decision that, okay, I want to be debt-free in my life. I want to deal with this debt. I no longer want to be paying for debt month to month. Yes, I still have debt. For someone who doesn't know, who just found me on this video, I still do have debt, but the debts that I have is basically my bond, which is my house, and also my student loan, which is, for us, it's not the same as in other parts of the world, especially Europe. It's still a debt. However, it's not the debt that affects your credit score or anything like that. It's just that you have to pay back the government. So those are the things that I have. They take directly from my employer. By the time my salary comes to me, it's already taken. So before, what my financial life looked like, it's before I used to have so many debts. So I used to have a personal loan, which was very close to her. Actually, when I calculated it, it was over 100,000. And also I had 100,000 rents, by the way. And also I had 2 credit cards. And the other one was around 35,000 and the other one was around 15,000. So that is how much debt I have. And now for me, there was a lot of debt. And the reason why I'm saying there was a lot of debt is because I'm actually looking at it on my life, and I'm not comparing it with anyone. I'm also comparing it in conjunction with my salary, especially at that point. It was a lot. And so I did not have peace in my life. It actually annoyed me. Whenever it was payday, I did not like it. I did not enjoy it because there were so many things that were taking. And even not that there were so many things that were taking. However, there were just knowing that when you get paid, a huge chunk of your money goes towards this debt is the reason why, for me, I did not have a sense of financial peace. And beyond those 3 things that I had, I also had consumer debt. And so I had to actually be very intentional in terms of how I'm going to deal with these things. However, the crux of the topic here is I needed to be disciplined. Yes, I can set goals. Yes, I can sit down and say, these are the goals that I'm setting for myself. This is what I want to do. I want to achieve this. I want to deal with 1, 2, and 3 because this is going to help me to have financial peace, less stress in my life, and more money coming to me. Those are the things that I set for myself. However, without discipline, without actually having self-control and telling myself that I'm going to do this and I'm going to achieve this, and making sure that each and every month I'm making small steps towards actually dealing with this debt, I don't think I would be where I am. Such that right now, when it comes to when I'm making my budget, there is no debt that I'm actively paying for, which for me has allowed me to have some sort of financial peace. Even though I don't have financial freedom right now, that's my next step. However, I do have financial peace. And so I'm hoping that with me sharing these things with you, it's also going to inspire you as we're starting this year, that actually you need to be very intentional and you need to be disciplined, because the journey of improving your financial life is not for the faint-hearted, that I can tell you. However, if you are disciplined enough and you are very serious about your goal and working towards your goal, you will find yourself on the other side, whereby you are rejoicing and happy about the strides that you've taken, because you now have financial peace. So I'm just going to break it down to points so that it's easily digestible. So I talked about discipline and the fact that it is self-control, being able to control yourself. And here, for me, what I needed to do was to learn to control my impulses. Before, I used to be a person whereby if, let's say, there's something that I want, I would just buy it. But the funny thing with me is that normally when people do that, they use their own money. But with me, I was actually using debt. Because I had access to credit cards, it was easier for me to actually be at the shop and see that there's something that I want, especially when it comes to homeware stuff. If I would be at Mr. Price Home and I had my card, my Mr. Price Home card, my credit card, I would actually go out and buy. I would buy the thing without thinking twice about it because I had cash available. But that for me also showed that at that time I had no self-control. I had no sense of discipline when it comes to how am I supposed to be spending this. And so I had to learn to control my impulses, to control my emotions as well, not allowing your emotions to drive your purchase decision. Because the reason why many of us struggle to deal with our financial issues, especially debt, is because we are not disciplined enough to actually say, I'm not going to allow my emotions to actually decide how I'm going to spend my money. I'm actually going to make sure that I'm clear-headed before I spend my money. And so over time, I had to learn that I'm old enough and I'm mature enough to actually not allow my emotions to be the decider on how I spend my money. And so that for me was the first part of actually learning to be disciplined. But also another thing is I also learned that if there's something that I want to work on, so if my goal back then was, okay, the first goal was to deal with the personal loan. And I remember there was a time whereby I got this big chunk of money from work because they had been saving it for me when I bought this house. And so I got that money back. So instead of actually saying I'm going to take that money and do things in the house, I decided to take that money and actually put it towards my debt. And that brought my debt down significantly. Now, if I did not have self-control, I wasn't going to do that. I was going to do something else. I was going to go do things that were going to give me instant gratification. But when you want to actually deal with your finances or basically have control of your life and structuring your life or basically improve your life, it calls you to actually say, you know what, I'm going to delay my instant gratification. Yes, I will get these things, but right now, what is of priority than anything else? And then you focus your attention on that. It doesn't mean that you are depriving yourself of anything. You are not depriving yourself, but you are actually saying, I am going to delay this for now. I will get back to it. And then once I'm done with this one, then I'm going to get back to this one and I'm going to actually enjoy it even more. And I find that when you delay your instant gratification and you get to that, eventually you get to it, you tend to enjoy it even more because you didn't have to sacrifice a lot in order to get it. And so I had to learn to control my impulses. I had to learn to delay my instant gratification. And I remember also the second part that also helped me to actually even push even further when it comes to my debt, and mainly because of discipline and telling myself that what is important right now. When I would get my bonus money, I wouldn't use that bonus money to do extravagant things. I wouldn't be using that money for holidays, which is something that there's nothing wrong with that. However, when you tell yourself that you have a goal and the goal is important enough for you, you make room to make sure that you work towards that goal. And so I had to sacrifice to say, I'm not going to be spending on myself. I'm not going to be doing all these things because there's this thing. And so when I would get bonus, I would use that money to actually attack my debt. The gist of the point here is when it comes to being disciplined, it requires you to have self-control. That's one thing that you have to cultivate in your life. Having self-control, delaying your instant gratification, and also not allowing your emotions to drive your purchase decisions. So another thing for me that actually pushed me even further was I needed to decide, what do I want my life to look like? So that's a question that I want to pose to you as well. What do you want your life to look like? From where you are right now, when you envision your life, what do you see? What do you see your life looking like? What type of lifestyle do you want to live? For me, at that point, my goal was to deal with debt. However, how I envisioned my life then was financial peace. I wanted to know that when I get paid every month, a chunk of that money comes to me. I wanted the feeling of knowing that a big chunk of my salary actually comes to me and I get to decide where I put it. Whilst when it comes to debt, it's actually the opposite. You don't get to decide where it goes, because that decision, you made it when you actually went and opened the debt and then use the money that they gave you. So after that, everything else that happens after that, it's no longer your decision. It's no longer your saying to say, I am not going to pay for this debt, I'm going to pay for this debt. Because the moment you start doing that, then you affect a lot of things when it comes to your financial life. One of those things is your credit score. And so you don't have a choice once you have a debt. You don't have a choice whether I want to pay into this or I don't want to pay into this. And so for me, I needed the sense of freedom. I remember when I used to look at how much money would go out on my personal loan in conjunction with my salary. At that point, it was around 4,000. And also I had a credit card that was taking around 1,300, I think. And when you sum all of those things up, that's a lot of money. It's actually an installment for a car. And whenever I would see that money going out every month, I think it got to a point whereby it was annoying. It didn't make me sad. It was annoying. I knew that I had a responsibility to pay it back because I'm the one who made the decision to go and open the debt and actually use the money. So when it was time to pay, I did not feel sad. I did not feel angry. However, I had a sense of annoyance. I was just annoyed that so much money was going out to pay for this debt. And so that for me put even more fuel to actually say, you know what? This is not the life I desired for myself. What can I do in order to make sure that this is not the end of my life, or this is not the end and be all of my life? What can I do to make sure that I improve my life? And so it required me to actually sit down and develop goals. My goals had to be very clear, such that they were very specific. And so I knew that I wanted to deal with one. And so what I did here, that I'm just going to share with you, maybe I will do another video, my strategy when it comes to paying off my debt. I didn't do the debt snowball where you start with the smallest one and then you work your way to the big one. I actually did the avalanche method where I dealt with the big one and then I worked my way up to the smallest one. And the reason why I followed that method is because for me, I needed the sense of accomplishment. I knew the debt that was annoying me the most. I knew the debt that was costing me the most, because that's also another thing you have to think about, that was costing me the most, especially when it comes to how much I was paying on a month-to-month basis. And so that is why I had to start with the big one and then work my way down to my credit cards. And that for me required that I have a sense of discipline. I had to put away a lot of things and say, I'm not going to be doing these things until I deal with 1, 2, and 3. And so the question for you again is, how important is your financial life to you right now? So when you're looking at your life, how important is it? Because if it's not that important, I can tell you that being disciplined enough to actually stick to that decision is not going to be easy. And this doesn't only apply to debt, by the way. So let's say, for instance, you really want to be intentional when it comes to actually working towards building wealth and just building your investments. You need to be disciplined enough that you know that each and every month you are working towards that. And one of the biggest things that actually helps when it comes to making sure that you are disciplined to work towards that is that do not leave your investment until last minute. So you don't want to spend and then think about how much money is left and then save that or invest that. You actually want your investments and your savings to be the first one. That is why for me, when you look at my budget, my savings and investments are the first things, because that for me, that is a priority. I don't want to save what is left. I don't want to invest and save what is left. I want to save and invest the first thing. It's always a priority for me. I know that, okay, in a month, this is how much I want to save. I do that first. And then once I know that, okay, this is how much I want to save, I then work my way towards my expenses. Because If you do the thing whereby you say you're going to spend, and then see how much is left and then invest that, you are actually putting yourself in a position whereby if you find that it is not enough, then that means that for that month, you are not going to be investing, and you're also not going to be saving. And that for me is also going to be the reason why it's going to be very hard for you to be disciplined and actually stick towards your goal, or especially stick towards your decision to work towards your goals. Another thing for me, discipline taught me to be relentless. And as I've shared with you guys, the things that I had to do, the sacrifices that I had to make in order for me to actually deal with my finances, it actually taught me to be relentless. For me, it was no longer about trying to do. It was about just doing. And so you need to get to that point whereby you are not trying to deal with your debt, but you are just dealing with your debt. You are not trying to invest and save. You are doing it. You are literally doing it on a month-to-month basis. If you get paid on a weekly basis, you're doing it on a week-to-week basis. But you need to get to a point whereby it's no longer about trying. Don't try. Let that word on your vocabulary must just go. Don't try. You're no longer trying. And if you're still trying, for me, it's a sense that you haven't gotten to a point whereby you are relentless enough to say, I'm going to work towards this. Come sunshine or rain, you are going to work towards this. And so for me, that is why it was not a hard decision to say, I'm not going to use this large chunk of money towards these other things. Instead, I'm going to use this money to actually dealing with the problem. And the problem at that point was my debt. And so you need to get to a point whereby you are relentless. And I'm saying this because for me, it got to that point whereby whenever I would get a chunk of money, the first thing that would pop in my mind is, how much can I put in my debts? Not, oh, let me do this first and do that, and then I will put whatever that is left towards my debts. No, it got to a point whereby it was like, the first thing in my mind, okay, I got this much money. How much can I divert towards my debt? And then once I've diverted that much, if I divert this much, how much is it going to decrease my debt by? And so you have to get to the point whereby you are relentless. When it comes to attacking your debts and just dealing with your issues, you are relentless. You don't let anything come by and disturb you. Same thing with when it comes to you wanting to build wealth and build financial freedom and reach financial freedom. You have to get to a point whereby for you, saving and investing is not an option. It's not a matter of if what I'm trying, no, I'm trying, we're no longer trying. You need to get to a point whereby whenever you're thinking about building your wealth, building your investment, it's a matter of, I am doing it. As I said, each and every month, make sure that it is the first priority. Don't spend and then save and invest what is left, but invest first and save, then spend whatever that is left. Because here's the thing, you can always adjust your expenses, but if you want to make sure that you work towards your goals, you need to actually be relentless to a point whereby you're not trying, you are doing, you are saving each and every month, you are investing each and every month. It doesn't mean that, okay, let's say for instance you say you want to be investing 1,000. It happens that, okay, in this month you cannot afford to invest 1,000. However that you can invest that. Don't say I'm going to skip just because it's not the total sum that I actually planned it to be. So long as you know that in that month you saved and invest. And that's where you need to get to. You need to get to a point whereby it's like, I'm not trying, I'm doing. And that for me, I feel like it is the whole sum of being disciplined enough to say, I'm doing this, come sunshine or rain, and I'm going to achieve my goals. And so the last question that I have for you, and maybe something that you need to ponder about, and this is imposed to someone that is still not sure what they want for their financial life. And also, if you're not sure, just go back and watch my 2023 resets. Even though not 2023, my 2023 financial goals, even though they're about my goals, but when you watch those videos, you get a sense of what it takes to be disciplined, what it takes to have a goal and be clear about your goal, so much so that you know how you are going to be working towards it. And so with that being said, my question to you is, how committed are you to actually deal with your financial life? So that may be to deal with debt, or that may be to actually work towards financial freedom or build wealth. how committed are you? Because your level of commitment is going to be the reason why you are going to work towards your goal. It's going to be the driver of actually you making sure that each and every month you are taking steps towards working towards that goal. And so, how committed are you? How much do you want this? Like, does it make you not sleep at night? For me, I mean, it's funny when I think about it now, but I used to not sleep at night sometimes whenever I would think about how the things that I wanted to do, the things that I wanted to achieve. I would envision me no longer paying for my debts, like no longer paying for these loans, no longer paying for these consumer debts, no longer paying for my credit cards. I would envision how much money is going to come back into my pocket. And that for me was enough fuel to actually keep me going, to say, I am doing this. No matter what, I am going to be doing this. I'm going to be making sacrifices in order to do this. Right now, I'm at the point whereby I am working towards a journey of financial freedom. And I'm telling myself that this is what I want for my life. And I'm very clear why I want this for my life. And I'm willing to make sacrifices in order to make sure that I actually achieve this. Now, the nice thing about not having a lot of debt is that you do have much more freedom than what you would have if you had debt, because you can say, okay, this is how much that I want to invest and save towards my goal of financial freedom, and still allow yourself to live and enjoy life. But when you have debt, sometimes it's very hard because you don't want to be splitting, you don't want to split yourself too thin, and so you have to choose your fight. It's either you want to be paying for debt or you want to be enjoying life. If you really want to be disciplined and be relentless when it comes to dealing with your debt, it has to come to that point whereby you need to ask yourself, what is my fight? You need to choose your battles, and your battles need to be very clear. Are you paying for debt, or are you actually enjoying life? And if you are choosing that you're going to be enjoying life, do know that you paying for your debt is going to take as slow as you are going. It's not going to be as fast paced as you would wish for it, because your focus is also on something else. And so you need to get to a point whereby you are relentless. You are going to you make sacrifices that make sense to you, and you say, okay, this is what I want for my life, and I'm going to work towards that. Now, I'm hoping that with you guys, I'm hoping that these are going to help you to also just be focused and just narrow your focus as we are starting this year, to say, what do you want for your life? If you have debts that you're dealing with right now, you need to get to a point whereby you are clear about what you see your life. As I said, I posed the question of, when you look at your life, what do you envision? You need to be clear about that, because that's going to help you when it comes to developing your goals. If you don't have debts, a lot of debts, and you are fine, on that department, and let's say, for instance, you decide that you want to work towards financial freedom, you need to know, when you think of financial freedom, what do you see your life looking like? And once you know what you see your life looking like, then develop goals that will help you to work towards that desired life. And then from there, you need to action your goals and be very disciplined, have self-control, and control your impulses, because we all have those. It's just a matter of learning to say no and learning to say yes when it's time for you to say yes, and no when it's time for you to say no. So with that being said, I hope that this video was helpful, insightful, and also don't forget to give it a thumbs up, because it does help with the YouTube algorithm. And I'll see you on the next one. Please take care and stay safe. Bye.